On this episode of School Safety Talks, we are honored to welcome a distinguished voice in public architecture, Mr. Manuel Synalovski. As the founder of Manuel Synalovski Architects, now SRS Architects, he has led a design of hundreds of educational, civic, and religious facilities across the United States, with a strong footprint in the state of Florida. His work demonstrates that schools can be more than functional. They can be beautiful, inclusive, and above all, secure. As the school safety becomes a national priority, today we explore how architecture itself can serve as the first layer of protection. From thoughtful campus layouts through strategic sidelines and secure access points, Mr. Synalovski brings a unique insight into how the environment can prevent, delay, and deter threats. Thank you, Manny, for being here today.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you very much for allowing me to be part of the conversation.
Manny, as our listeners who may be not familiar with the scale of your work, approximately how many schools, houses of worship, and public buildings have you ever, or your firms have ever been designed and built?
We, in effect, began our practice in 1988, and between 1988 and 2023, we probably had close to a total of 600 public sector projects that were either school projects, educational facilities from preschool all the way through higher education, or they were public buildings, mostly for municipalities here in South Florida. An enormous amount of work over a period of about 36 years.
What makes design in school unique, both functional and emotional perspective?
We're always committed for our projects, and I'll focus particularly on educational facilities, to be contextually correct, that they feel right in the context of the community that they're in. Nonetheless, when you're in the building, you want the building to be happy, you want it to be light, you want it to be bright, you want it to be safe, you want it to be attractive, and you want the experience of, in effect, growing up in a learning space to be great. People don't realize the amount of time that children spend in their life, specifically their formative years, living in a school environment, in a learning environment. So we believe that our buildings, in effect, embrace and help children grow and feel comfortable and therefore learn happily as a result of the space that they're in.
How do you apply the principle of crime prevention through environmental design, like natural surveillance, territorial reinforced, and control access in your schools projects?
Crime prevention through environmental design is really intended to be passive. You don't feel it, you don't necessarily see it, you benefit from those concepts. Things like the right height for landscaping so that nobody hides behind shrubs, the right amount of transparency so that you can see through a window or even through a door that has a glass pane, proper lighting, not only at night, but even at day, so that, again, visually, it creates a sense of security and a sense of safety. Having a single point of entrance so that you control, if you will, the arrival and departure, not only of students in a school building, but of visitors, of guests that are unexpected, of vendors that come to serve. That single point of entry is very critical. enclosure around the school to protect the exterior spaces, and exterior spaces are important to every building, particularly school buildings where students spend time outside. Proper sidewalks, proper crossing paths, the location, if you will, of service areas vis-a-vis where students are, those are all passive elements of a good design that ultimately make your school building not only successful in terms of safety and security, but successful in terms of creating a great experience for the students and, for that matter, for the teachers and the administrators at the school.
At what point in the design process do you involve the security consultants, schools resource officers, and firms like ours, like dynamic integrated security?
We try to do that very early, and we try to do that in layers. Because, again, we just spoke about SEPTED. A lot of the SEPTED concepts really, we focus when we're designing the site, and for that matter, the arrival and departure from the school. And that happens early in schematics. But then as you're developing your drawings and you're creating construction documents, the right materials, the right transparency, the right hardness, so that in the event that there's bullets flying, we can protect the students in the buildings. That happens in more details, and for that matter, details of details. We've used, at times, bulletproof glass. We've installed, as part of walls, reinforcement to interior partitions using Kevlar. We've used Kevlar on furniture. So there are multiple levels. It's not just one conversation at the beginning or one conversation at the end. Typically, that's too late.
Correct.
It has to happen as part of the process. Security is one of those boxes that you continuously check from the inception of a concept to the final construction, continuously throughout the process of a school project.
What emerging trend in school design do you see the most promising in creating a safe learning environment?
We've mentioned some already. The right materials, the right transparency, the right light. But I think technology is going to be a significant factor in new designs. And what I'm going to call passive technology, where students are maybe going through some kind of entrance portal, and there may be a camera that's monitoring, that's recognizing each person that enters. And if they recognize somebody that, in effect, is not part of the community, very quickly there's a reaction. And firms like you that are very vested and invested in high technology understand how that can be used in a very passive way, in a very subtle way, but with extreme delivery of safety and security without making a student or a faculty member or any staff member feel that they're walking into a prison. That's always the play,
trade-off.
right? You don't want to make it so secure that it's unbearable. And on the other hand, you don't want to make it so unsecure that it may be a problem if there's an event that, in effect, causes insecurity. So it's that simple balance, and using technology to assist us, where the technology happens from above, from the sides, from behind, from the front, without you as a user even knowing that the technology is there, is, I think, necessary moving forward. People don't mind necessarily anymore walking through metal detectors. They don't mind being screened with a wand. But there's new technology that really is much more sophisticated, in effect is more time efficient, more cost efficient, and at the end of the day, more effective. I think that really is already happening, but it has to happen more so. moving forward.
I think you're right. That's something that we do here, and we try to combine that with our weapon detection animals and a lot of training with the people. But going to another question, which the rise on drive-by attacks, terrorist attack. This is something that we haven't discussed, that we've been discussing with other guests of the show, which is the trend of using vehicles through in ramming attacks, and obviously accepted and the design that we design in school will dictate where to put the most necessary thing, the ballast, and make sure that those vehicles are not able to go into sidewalks and inside the building. Do you think that that is something that you're gonna see in the future in more schools?
You're going to see it, but you're not necessarily going to feel it. And I'll give you an example. We designed a beautiful decorative seating wall, literally around certain areas of a school, that its real purpose is to be a crash wall. They have a certain height, they have a certain strength, they can resist vehicles large and heavy and traveling at significant speed from moving forward. And the reality is, you don't know it, because when you see it from afar, you find it attractive because it's combined with landscaping and it's combined with benches. And you sit there and you say, oh, this is beautiful, this is wonderful, how nice. And in reality, the purpose of it was really to be a crash wall. So that is the function of the designer. And whether it's an architect or whether it's an engineer or whether it's a landscape architect, that is the function of the design community, to make and integrate security elements in such a fashion that they're highly successful, providing safety and security, but highly transparent in giving you a sense of closure and a sense of prison-like security.
Correct.
And the more that we do that, the more we will detriment, drive-bys, and for that matter, crashing vehicles into large crowds, and protect the lives. Because as we were speaking before we started, you can protect and repair a building in many ways, but it's a lot harder to protect and repair a life once it's hurt.
Correct.
So our task, among the many things that we do as designers, is to create solutions that solve a problem and also provide other enhancements where you don't even realize that the initial purpose or intent was safety and security, because the end result is something that's attractive, that's fun, that actually provides other benefits besides just being a crash wall.
Very nice. I completely agree with you. And the purpose of our job, one of the things that we've been doing is pushing legislation in Tallahassee. Not just to change the way that we design our schools and our educational facilities, but also the way we handle it. One of the things that we've been doing, and it's going to be approved very soon in July, is reinforcing the law that regulates that the school doors, the classroom doors, have to be keep locked from the inside while the school is in session. It's extremely important. One of the things that we do is been studying what happened, for example, in Uvalde, that all doors were unlocked. The building have 3 doors, and all doors were unlocked, and they were accusing some of the teachers that left the door open, but the reality is that the staff and administration been leaving the doors open for years, and unfortunately, the shooter who come from outside the school have no way to be stopped, no door lock, then he can actually try to prevent him to gain access to the building.
Yeah,
and
it's interesting. There's always a challenge, and it's part of the equilibrium that we design for, between lock and unlock, because on the one side you want to be locked because you want to keep the unsafe and the insecure outside. On the other hand, should you have to get out quickly because there's an emergency inside the space, then locking a door doesn't work. And we have these conversations between the both public sector professionals, the police and fire, right? Because fire wants to make sure you can get out, and police wants to make sure that people that aren't supposed to get in don't get in.
Absolutely.
So there is a solution.
There's a
many
balance.
solutions.
There's a balance.
Yeah, there's many solutions as to how, you can use unique unique hardware.
Correct.
Um,
Maglocks, lock from the inside, not from the outside. We get it, and one of the things that, and I just want to remind our viewers, we come with this not because of lack of resources or anything else. We study this.
Yeah.
When we go to Johannesburg, for example, right before Columbine, we have a case where the kids, one of the kids, prepared an ambush for the entire school. They use the emergency
pull
station. Then everybody runs to the designated fire exits, and they were waiting for them and gunned down 11 people. You have the terrorists trying this in different parts of the world when they call and say that there's a bomb in the building because they're waiting for everybody to exit the building to gun them down. So there is always a balance here, and we understand very well what the fire department wants and the police want, but everything is a balance. It's a compromise between both systems, and I think that's what we try to do, and you mentioned it very well.
What's interesting, and it's something that I realize that you guys do very well, extremely well, is that you study precedent, you know the cases, you know the circumstances, you know the challenges, and you are extremely knowledgeable in terms of the right solutions to eliminate a repeat of what occurred in the past.
Correct.
And that's not every organization has that capacity. What's impressive about you guys is really your enormous commitment to technology and your enormous commitment to really studying and evaluating and thinking and rethinking and reevaluating alternatives based on
past
experiences.
Correct.
Very impressive how you really embrace the newness of technology with the experience of the past to really lead and be a leader in the space of safety and security in the school communities.
Well, thank you very much, Manny. It's coming from you, and I got utmost respect for your work. I've been in many of your buildings. My kids go to schools that you design and you build, and is for me is formidable. I have to say also, I know Manny for several years. We've been together in the Jewish Federation, trying to do a good cause, and I admire you because your career speaks very loud about what commitment is and what professional means. To wrap up this episode of School Safety Talks, a special thanks to Manuel Synalovski for sharing his deep expertise and thoughtful perspective on how architecture can shape not just how schools function, but how safe they truly are. We have heard today the design of schools is far more than bricks and blueprints. It's about visibility, access, community, and the silent signals that make students feel protected and prepared. When security is built into the environment, prevention becomes part of the daily rhythm of school life. If you found today's discussion valuable, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with others. Hit the thumbs up button because we care about school safety and the future of our kids. Until next time, stay alert, stay prepared, and stay committed to protecting our schools.